Raider Nation, the vibe in Las Vegas is boiling right now. The standings and the draft picture are a mess with Monday Night Football right around the corner. The pass defense has stepped up, but now it faces an offense that punishes every mistake. On offense, a key piece is underperforming, the scheme is under fire, and influential voices are already talking about the future at the most important position on the field. And up top, the pressure on the leadership keeps building, with a real chance of a big decision that could shake Raider Nation. But before we break down every detail of this story, let me talk to you real quick. Hit that subscribe button. It is free. And it helps keep this silver and black conversation alive. Drop a like too, because that tells YouTube to push this video out to even more people in Raider Nation. And jump into the comments to say what you think about this team, because this space belongs to everyone who lives and breathes the Raiders. Man, let us talk about the harsh reality here. The standings are telling the Raiders one very clear thing. Right now, their race is not for a wild card spot, it is for a high draft position. This is a team sitting at the bottom of the division with a weak record and a Monday night showcase that everybody is going to watch. It looks like a big game from the outside, but inside the building the conversation is different. It is about rebuilding. In practical terms, the picture is simple. Last week, the Raiders got lucky with some crazy results around the league, a bunch of upsets that helped their draft position. This time around, almost everyone who needed to lose actually lost. That little help disappeared, and the Raiders are stuck in that high pick range, surrounded by bad teams fighting for the same thing. Right now, the reality is a premium draft pick flirting with the top 5. But to climb one more rung, the math is brutal. They need to keep losing and still hope a few of those awful teams steal some unlikely wins. That is where the drama for Raider Nation really kicks in, because nobody roots for losses. That is not in this fan base's DNA. Only, to be honest with you, when you look at a defense starving for elite talent and an offense spinning its wheels, it is impossible not to think about that bigger picture rebuild. The problem is this team, even playing poorly, still flirts with wins every now and then. You get a one-possession loss here, a tight game against a rival that is stumbling too. And there are more matchups like that coming. This game against the Cowboys now is one that, if everyone is honest, is more likely to end in another loss. But there is still Cleveland, Houston, and New York on the schedule. 3 games where, if the offense wakes up a little and the defense handles the basics, the Raiders can absolutely win. And that is where everything gets complicated, because that third win of the year can push the pick down the board, like dropping out of that range around 6 and sliding to something closer to 9 or 10 in the league. That matters a lot when you are trying to grab a defender who can change the entire level of this team, somebody in the mold of those guys who carry an entire unit on their back. In that very top tier, you are aiming at a player ready to be the centerpiece of the defense. A few spots lower, and you are talking about a gamble, a project, a if everything breaks right type of guy, and then there is no point complaining later that the defense is still average. Only here you get this kind of Raiders fan perspective, looking at standings and culture at the same time, because deep down the real question is this: how do you balance the pride of riding with the silver and black with the cold logic of the draft? Cheering for good performances while knowing that every win right now might cost you the player who could transform the entire defense. A lot of you are split, wanting to see a competitive team, but also thinking about that premium pick man. This drives me crazy. So that Monday night in Dallas is not just about winning or losing. It is about what tempo this team chooses for the rest of the season, trying to claw back some respect right now, or accepting that the real focus has already shifted to 2026 and 2027, and that ties directly into the next situation, because there is a group on this defense that is starting to respond and can really mess with that plan. And seriously, stay with me until the end, because the last situation we are getting to is absolutely heavy. You know what stands out to me the most about this team right now? It is not the offense, it is the pass defense. Early in the season, every contested ball felt like a heart attack. Every third down was torture. Now, over the last few weeks, the Raiders' secondary has started to play with more confidence, better communication, cleaner alignments. They are still a long way from elite, but it is no longer that chaos that made us groan on every 3rd and 8, and that is where a guy a lot of people had run out of patience with comes in, Q Blue Kelly. At the start of the year, he was struggling, committing silly penalties, arriving late to the ball. He always seemed to step behind the play. Suddenly, he puts together the best game of his career, with 2 interceptions and much more decisive reads. To be honest with you, that changes the way we look at this young secondary. When a corner starts playing loose and confident, he pulls everyone else up with him. Behind all of that is the work of Patrick Graham. He is not a media star, but he is that coordinator who keeps tweaking calls, fixing technique, adjusting the little details under him. This defense has improved season after season, and now the secondary is finally starting to keep pace with the defensive line. When the coverage holds up just a bit longer, the pass rush comes in lighter, more confident. Small changes in coverage can completely change the rhythm up front. Only now the test is about as tough as it gets. Across from them are big, fast, physical receivers, guys who win on the route and at the catch point, that kind of wideout who, if a cornerback blinks, it is over. It is an explosive play, and the defense is right back on the field. On Monday night, any mistake turns into a highlight against you, and nobody can stand seeing another blowout score with the entire country watching. Seriously, getting punched in the mouth in prime time over and over is tiring. Graham knows that and has talked about these guys. He highlighted their size, length, body control, strong hands, that annoying skill set that makes them look open even when they are well covered. At the same time, he has praised the Raiders' defensive backs, talking about their physical tools, speed, and willingness to take on one-on-one matchups without backing down. He believes this secondary can play at a high level, but he also made it clear discipline, technique, and avoiding dumb penalties are going to decide a lot in this game. Only here you get this kind of Raiders fan view of the defense, looking through an eye in the stands, not just reciting cold numbers. And I know you are thinking the same thing on your couch. Can you really trust this group on a night when the offense is still a complete unknown? Because if the secondary fails, there is no miracle, no adjustment that saves you. So drop a comment and tell me if you are more confident or more worried about this group. I really want to know. And the wildest part is that this improvement against the pass hits right up against another open wound on this team, which is whoever is calling and executing the offense. It does not help at all if the defense holds up, steals possessions, gives short fields, and then the game plan on the other side does not keep up. The next topic goes straight into that, dealing with the most important position on the field and the people helping choose its future. From here on out, the weight of every decision only gets bigger, believe me. Look, whenever the conversation turns to the quarterback spot with the Raiders, the temperature shoots up right away. We went into this season believing that bringing in Geno Smith, paying him, giving up a pick, all of that would bring at least some stability to the position. It was not supposed to be absolute elite play, but it was supposed to be competent football. An offense that functioned, moved the chains, and earned basic respect around the league. What we have seen so far is an offense that is stuck with no rhythm, full of doubt in the play calling and in the execution. It wears you out, right? On paper, the plan looked great. A veteran quarterback running the show, a big-name offensive coordinator drawing up a modern scheme, young pieces everywhere to grow together. In reality, it became an offense that overthinks, lets it rip too rarely, and messes up the basics. Good players are being underused, drives die early, reads are slow. To be honest with you, there is no way anyone in their right mind can say the quarterback position in Las Vegas is set for the future. It is nowhere close. And that is where a heavy detail comes in. When the team's minority owner is also the greatest quarterback of all time, every opinion he gives on a young player at that position becomes instant headline material. Tom Brady jumped in on the broadcast to talk about a college quarterback and went all in with the praise. He pointed to a kid from Notre Dame, CJ Carr, as the best quarterback he has seen in college since that insane Joe Burrow season at LSU. That is not a casual compliment. It is not a comparison thrown out there for fun. When the guy who redefined the position says a young player can make every throw, understands the game, and looks ready upstairs, the entire league listens. And Raider Nation does too. Because the question pops up on its own. Is this the clearest hint yet about the type of quarterback this front office and this owner see as the guy of the future? And it gets trickier because everybody knows that specific target is not even in this upcoming draft. He only becomes eligible down the road. In other words, the planning gap might be even bigger than it looks. That creates an annoying dilemma. If the top of the hierarchy is already infatuated with a prospect who will not be in the league until 2027, what do you do until then? Keep riding with Geno a little longer? go chase another veteran bridge, draft a young quarterback sooner just to be a temporary plug. Only here you get this kind of Raiders fan angle, mixing Brady's comments with the reality of the stands, no filter. Man, it has me seriously intrigued. Drop a comment. Would you have the patience to live through another bridge phase at the position while waiting for a target like that down the line? Or do you think it is already past time for Las Vegas to lock in a high draft pick at quarterback as soon as possible? Because all of this uncertainty about the offensive plan lands right at the feet of the guy running this attack every day, on the call sheet and on the sideline. And it is exactly that play caller, the very well paid and now extremely pressured one, that we are going to dive into next. Let us be very clear about this. If there is one person under the brightest spotlight in this offense right now, it is the offensive coordinator. The Raiders dropped serious money to bring in Chip Kelly, handed him that genius label, that modern offensive brain tag, and the result so far is one of the most stagnant offenses in the league in Las Vegas, with this much talent scattered across the roster that almost feels like a slap in the face to Raider Nation. It is exhausting watching so much promise turn into dead drives. You look at this roster and it just does not add up. There is a veteran quarterback who came off several strong years in Seattle and arrived to be that steady, quick processing guy. There is a first-round running back who destroyed defenses in college, a production monster. There is a young tight end who has already shown he can be a star in this league. And yet the Raiders' offense is buried near the bottom in points per game, battling with teams that are in full-on rebuild mode. To be honest with you, that falls straight on the shoulders of the play caller. This attack is putting up a little over 15 points a game. 15. In a 2025 NFL that protects quarterbacks and receivers and is built for explosive offenses, that is almost insulting. On the other sideline now comes a defense that, statistically, is one of the most generous in the league, giving up close to 31 points a game. If the Chip Kelly plan does not finally open up against a unit like that, it gets very hard to find any more excuses. You are at home under the Monday night lights in a packed stadium. If this offense does not get past 25 points, the conversation the next day is going to be brutal. And it is not just about the numbers, it is about the feeling. How many times have we seen conservative calls on third down? How many times has the offense looked predictable, slow, stuck throwing short of the sticks when the moment called for aggression? Only here you get this kind of Raiders fan breakdown, watching from the couch and the stands, not from a press box. There are snaps where you see the formation, the motion before the snap, and you already know what is coming. Man, that drives me nuts. Gino himself feels the heat. He has already talked about cutting it loose, about just playing without overthinking, but in the same breath, he is preaching ball security, fewer turnovers, cleaner football over the next stretch of games. It is that mix of courage and fear of making the big mistake. When a quarterback steps on the field thinking about making life easier for the coordinator and saving his own job at the same time, you can feel how tight the rope is. One bad outing in prime time can be the breaking point for everyone involved. Drop in the comments what you think. Is the biggest issue right now the scheme, the execution, or both? Because whether you like Chip's work or not, the truth is the pressure does not stop with him. If this offense stays stuck in the mud, the spotlight swings to the man in charge of everything, the head coach who signed off on this plan, and this coordinator, and it is that leadership spot at the top, that seat that is really starting to heat up in Las Vegas, that our conversation is about to get even heavier on. And there is something that weighs even more on top of all that: the head coach. When we talk about the Raiders right now, there is no way to pretend Pete Carroll's chair is comfortable first season in Las Vegas. Expectations sky high, a huge resume, and the team simply does not take off. Loss after loss, games that do not even feel competitive, a stadium seeing more frustration than reaction. For a franchise that sells itself on rebellion and a strong identity that hits Raider Nation in a very different way. The pitch was change, experience, someone who had seen everything in this league coming in to straighten things out. In practice, what we are watching is a team that runs hard, fights, battles snap to snap, but never really progresses as a whole. It is the same deja vu on repeat, a sinking record, the same types of mistakes, the same struggle to close games. To be honest with you, when the fan base starts feeling like it's swapped coaches just to keep spinning in circles, the patience evaporates fast, especially in Las Vegas, where everything is turned up from the bright lights to the pressure. And it gets worse when you zoom out. The owner sees the team stumbling, sees Allegiant Stadium getting flooded with visiting fans, and he knows how bad that looks. A matchup against Dallas with a split crowd, or even skewing toward the visitors, burns deep for anyone who loves the silver and black. Mark Davis wants Raider Nation to fill that building. But he also knows it is hard to ask for full buy-in when the product on the field is weak, repetitive, and lacks a clear direction. So the eye goes straight back to the head coach, and the temperature of that seat climbs a few degrees with every bad week. Carroll still has time on the calendar with 8 more games to show real growth, not just another "we are competing" speech. The issue is that competing without winning has become an old storyline with this team. Fans see the effort, see players flying around, but the final score keeps going the wrong way. Only here you get this kind of Raiders fan take, not afraid to say the obvious. Results matter. A lot. And if these 8 games look like more of the same, the conversation about continuity very quickly turns into a conversation about change, man. It is exhausting living in that loop year after year. Jump in the comments and tell me what you think. Is the bigger problem the fit between this staff and this roster, or was it simply the wrong choice at the top from the start? Because this pressure is not happening in a vacuum. If this season ends without concrete signs of progress, the organization could once again find itself at a full reset point, changing coaches, shaking up the staff, rethinking the philosophy. Deep down, it is the same question knocking on the door again. Who is going to be the face of this team going forward? And all of that says a lot about where this team is stuck right now, about what kind of Raiders we are watching take shape in Las Vegas, and how much that identity does or does not match what Raider Nation carries in its heart. In the end, all of this paints a very clear picture of where the Raiders are right now. A team caught between trying to compete and thinking about draft position, a pass defense that has responded, an offense that is stuck, a quarterback future that is wide open, and an entire staff under massive pressure. The truth is that the silver and black identity demands a high standard, demands aggressiveness, demands courage. Man, it is no longer acceptable to treat a lukewarm season like it is normal. Drop your thoughts in the comments. This space belongs to everyone who lives Raider Nation, and this conversation goes way beyond this one game.